Coming to you from the Deep South, this is the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. High-impact leadership is not reserved for leaders, and it has nothing to do with your position, title, or rank. However, it does have everything to do with your character. It's time to climb to the next level and beyond, personally and professionally. Now, let's start making it happen with your host, Mac Story.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast today. Today I want to talk to you about construction. And I know some of you may very well be in the construction business, but I want to put a little bit of a different spin on it. If you've heard me speak, a lot of times I tell people I'll always be under construction. And that's what I mean by that is I'm going to always be growing and developing, moving myself forward. That's my blue collar term for I'm going to always be getting better, right? Is I'm going to always be under construction. We should always be under construction, but it's a choice. Some people just are happy with coasting through life. They like to settle. They don't tell everybody they're settling, and they won't admit they're settling, most of them. But a lot of folks in life are settling. And I'm sure it's not hard to find some if you don't know what I'm talking about. They're pretty easy to spot, these folks, because they're not going anywhere. They're doing the same thing they were doing last year, the same thing they were doing 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Some folks are doing what they were doing 20 years ago. And it doesn't mean that if you've been doing the same thing for a long time, you're settling. Some people do the same thing because they love it. But those people, if they're not settling, they're growing and developing themselves relative to whatever it is they're doing. They're getting better at doing what they're doing. They're growing. A lot of those people end up a lot of times having business for themselves because they're so passionate about the specific thing they're doing that all they do is read about it, study about it, work on it, do more of it, whatever that means for them individually. But I want to share with you about being under construction. Just recently, my son, he's 27, and he was home from California. He lives north of San Francisco. And a couple of years ago, he moved out there. His girlfriend graduated college in Alabama and moved back out to be near her family in California. And so my son went out there and kind of set up camp, and he's been doing very well out there for himself. But he was home recently, and I was taking him to the airport, and we had a great conversation. And one of the things he was talking about is he's just kind of struggling a little bit on the inside because he's trying to get better. He's under construction. It was a great conversation, and I could just, I was kind of quiet a lot and just listening, and what I could hear was the internal struggle that he was having within as he's trying to get better, to make better choices. And that's why I say we're always going to be under construction, because we can always make better choices, especially if we become intentional. So as I heard him struggle through his own thoughts, and he shared them with me, he wanted my input, and which is always great as a parent. And so I'm listening, and we kind of talk it through. And what he was struggling with is being uncomfortable, because it's one of the things that we go through. I remember when I went through it very vividly and specifically. I actually write about it in my book, 10 Foundational Elements of Intentional Transformation, How to Become Your Best Self. I share a lot of that type story in that book. And so I could feel what he was going through. He's wanting to keep living one way and try to live another way. He don't want to give up either one. He wants to get better, but he don't want to leave the worst stuff behind, kind of is the way we were talking about it. And I said, it doesn't get any better. He's like, what do you mean? I said, let's say you left that stuff behind and you move forward and you actually get better. And now this internal struggle is gone. He's like, yeah. I said, if you're still trying to get better, if you're still assuming you're under construction, there's going to be a new struggle, because now there's going to be something on the other side that you want to climb to, another level. And I said, it's no different for me. He seemed a bit in a struggle, but so was I. He just didn't know it and didn't hear about it. I've been in a struggle ever since I became intentional in 2008 when I started reading leadership development books and personal growth books and became intentional and went into some serious construction mode. And like I say, I'm always be under construction. But there's a term that we talk about all of our growth happens outside of our comfort zone. And that's why he was experiencing discomfort. He's actually growing. That mental anguish that he was having wasn't nothing major, but he was sharing it, is that discomfort that comes from growth. It is uncomfortable. And see, high impact people become comfortable being uncomfortable. We must become comfortable being uncomfortable if we seriously want to grow. Because we're going to be uncomfortable all the time. And if we don't like it and we're dodging it and trying to run from it, we're not going to grow. Because all of our growth happens outside of our comfort zone. That's why it's uncomfortable. If life's good and we're comfortable, we're not growing. And so we had that talk. And, I wanted to take a few minutes, and just share with you that we should always be under construction. We should be seeking discomfort relative to our personal growth and development, especially if we're leading other people. That's one reason there's so many people who manage people in the world instead of leading people in the world. Because it's easy to manage people. I don't have to go home and read a book tonight when I get off of work. I don't have to listen to audios like this podcast. I don't have to listen to audio books or watch videos to manage people. I can be very comfortable relative to managing versus leading, because I can manage with artificial influence, which comes with my title or position. But to lead people, I've got to work and grow and develop me. I've got to go get close to them and build relationships and learn about their life and who they are, and deal with the ugly, the good, and the bad, and all that kind of stuff that people come with. Don't get me wrong, though, a manager is going to be uncomfortable too, but not relative to learning leadership. They'll be uncomfortable with their results. And if they have a manager's mindset, they're just going to try to constantly be getting better as a manager. So they'll be under construction in a different way. These are principles. They apply in all kinds of different directions. So think about that today. Are you truly under construction? Are you stretching yourself? Because one thing I know, most often, if we don't stretch ourselves, no one else will either. Not relative to where we want to go and who we want to be and what we want to do. We are the ones who have to stretch ourselves in that direction. Unless you're working for a high impact leader, then they're trying to grow and develop you so that you can go live the life you want. I hope you work for a leader like that. But ultimately, I hope you are a leader like that. And let me back up, because you don't work for a leader like that. You work with those kind of leaders. They know it. You know it. So I'll always be under construction. If you see me, you can't see it, but I got the yellow and black tape wrapped all around me. Y'all with me? Have a great day. Talk to you next time.
Make it happen, or someone else will. It might as well be you. Are you serious about taking your career and your life to the next level and beyond? Check out Mac Story's Blue Collar Leadership series books and others, now available on audio, along with paperback and ebooks at Amazon, iTunes, and Audible. Please visit bluecollarleadership.com to learn about Mac's books, programs, special offers, certifications, and more. Thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast.